Hello, this is Simon Jacobs, and you're all present and correct for another videocast of Adventures in Pop. Thank you for coming along. Some of you don't seem to have got up today. I think you should probably, by now you should be up. I know lockdown and everything, but come on, guys. Okay, I said last time round that I would spend this episode having a conversation with you about equipment I've got in my fabulous little room here, and what I started with precisely 4 years ago. It is my kind of 4 year anniversary of kicking off my solo adventure, and what I've got now, because there have been a few changes along the way. So if you're ready, we'll begin. And just before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind just being a love. I know this gets a bit boring, but just doing all the liking, subscribing, and telling your friends. And I mean, it's a bit boring, but sometimes I completely forget to say it, and then I think, what am I doing? I've missed that very important opportunity. It's not always uppermost in my mind. Maybe that's a good thing. Anyway, 4 years ago, I decided that I was going to make music. And I was starting, A, with nothing, and B, with very, very limited understanding of, the kind of the technology, this whole thing of it, like what you've got to get, what fits into what, and, what kind of microphone, what kind of, audio interface. These words were actually quite intimidating to me. And I had to do quite a bit of reading, a bit of, YouTube research to kind of work out what the hell goes where and what is the kind of minimum necessary. And I did mention last time, and it is important that I wanted to start kind of as frugally as possible. I didn't want to spend any money because I was quite worried that actually this is all going to come to nothing, and there's no point spending a fortune and then just being embarrassed about it. So I was kind of going to start pretty slowly and carefully. Okay, decision number one when you're doing this, and look, I'm talking about real beginners, and I'm sure most of you have been through this and have forgotten it even happened. But decision number one, I think, is probably the decision about what DAW to use. DAW, digital audio workstation, for those that are interested. This is important because this kind of sets the scene for everything you do. I mean, then you have to buy the right plugins that are compatible with. Different DAWs work in different ways, so they're intuitive to one person but not to another person. There is no right and wrong. So although it's important, it's a big decision, I don't think in a way it matters, because as long as you get one that you're happy with, there's a whole bunch of them that are very, very good. I mean, we're living in 2021, and there's a whole range, there's at least half a dozen that would appear in any list of Google's best DAWs. And actually, this is a really important point. When I got stuck of needing to get a piece of equipment and thinking I don't even know what it does, let alone which is the best one to get, Dr. Google came to my rescue a few times, and it's quite useful because what I would do is always, I'm sure you do this already, but Google, best of lists. So when I wanted studio monitors, I just Googled what are the best studio monitors, and I'd get all these lists. Everyone loves a list. Top 10 of studio monitors, top 10 of certain budget, top 10 very expensive ones. And what I would do is go through a number of the different top 10s, not just one. I'd pick a few top 10s and just have a look and see which brands, which makes were featured in all of them. So I didn't really matter, I didn't care if it was number one or number four or number six. If it just got mentioned every single time, and there were some brands in all of these things that did, then I just felt pretty comfortable that you can't go far wrong with that one. So that was my kind of way of picking my way through the maze of how to find the right piece of equipment for me. So DAW, what I did, because I am working with a MacBook Pro. In fact, I'm going to be changing it soon, but we'll do that in another episode. Because I was working with MacBook Pro, obviously, Apple, I felt like it was sensible to stay with the Apple family, and I started with GarageBand. Oh, and there's another reason, which is all the music that I've been involved in with my musical partner, which I was talking a lot about in my previous episode, we always use Logic. So Logic is the one that I kind of vaguely knew at least what it looked like. I knew what principles were involved with Logic, and Logic, of course, is one of the ones that appears in all the top tens. May not be number one in some, it's definitely number one in others. Who cares? You will tend to love the one that you've got, basically, of these. So I started with GarageBand, which is like the little baby cousin of Logic. I mean, put it like this: GarageBand, I think, cost me £2.99 to download. It may have changed in the last few years, but I mean, basically, it's a couple of pounds. Logic, I think, cost £200. So, that was the difference in terms of outlay. So anyway, I thought, good, GarageBand, that's perfect. That's exactly the right amount of money that I want to spend, £2.99. So that's where I started, and I've got to say straight away, GarageBand was great as a kind of nursery slope, and I think it lasted me 3 or 4 months, but really useful. Because it was the time when I was trying to work out, can I do this? And I thought, actually, I probably can, and I probably need to promote myself. So that was first big decision. Then, okay, two others right at the very beginning. One was to get a keyboard, which is a MIDI controller keyboard, because actually it's the keyboard that triggers all the different sounds. So it's not just it's not just an alternative to a piano. It's much more than that. I bought. Let me just check what it was. I think it was an Akai. This was 4 years ago. An Akai mini controller. I think it was about £70, something like that. It was pretty cheap, and it was pretty small. Mini controller. It was about this big. It had a couple of octaves on it. When I think about it, I'm not quite sure why I really limited myself like that, because I can't play the piano. I'm used to a few octaves, and suddenly I had about 11 notes. But to be fair, it allowed me to get started, and actually it was quite fun to use. And the only problem with it, and the reason why it is not here still, I can't just wave it at you, is I broke it. I broke it by playing the keys a little bit too firmly. I think I was a little overexcited one day and banging away and just bust everything. I think I broke 2 keys. So not particularly proud of myself, but that actually had to go in the bin. I couldn't mend it. I couldn't sell it on eBay. It was just goodbye Akai. So that lasted a couple of months. It probably lasted for most of the time that I had GarageBand. And when I was ready to go to Logic, I was also ready to upgrade my keyboard. And I went for M Audio. I can't remember what exactly the number of that particular model was, because after a few months I broke that one too in the same way as the first one. So listen, don't try this at home, but I don't know, I think because I'm used to playing the piano, and you can really you can give a piano quite a bit of welly, I think is the expression. I just wasn't very good at being tender and light with a little electronic keyboard. So that didn't last very long. What I now have is another M Audio, but it's a bigger one. It's called the M Audio Oxygen 49. It's got about 4 octaves. It's a little bit more it's got a slightly better touch for playing those keys. And I think if you do play the piano, the kind of the touch, the response of the keys is kind of important. You will notice that. And I've had that now for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, and it is still in one piece. So it's a much more sturdy little animal. Maybe I've changed, but it's good. It does the job. It's not amazing. I think it cost £120. So I'd upped it a little bit, maybe 130, 140, but not a great deal of money, and it does exactly what it is needed to do. That's one thing. Microphones. I was quite excited about microphones, but again, I started almost with, I might as well have made it myself. I went down to my local second-hand kind of electrical stroke hi-fi stroke musical instrument shop, which there is down in my local high street, and I found a microphone there for about £25. I've got it here. Stay right there. It came in this rather glamorous, I think you'll agree, box. Let's have a look at it. I mean, I didn't care what the brand was. The point was they had one in stock and it was really cheap. Um, and in a way, I guess maybe it was a bit of you know, a false economy because I was back shortly afterwards buying something else. But here we are. It's made by Newmark, who are a brand that I've heard of. Um, it comes also with a bit of wire, but anyway, there it was, dirt cheap. It was second hand. It was okay. It got me started. There are a bunch of songs on my first album, Circle Line, which I must have recorded on this, and I've kept it because it wasn't broken. I just decided to promote myself. So that is the gorgeous first microphone. The second microphone, which now sits proudly on top of my piano, but also isn't being used, I brought it with me, is this little baby. Now this I think cost about £50, and this was definitely in one of those lists of good budget microphones. I think it did a good job. It was quite nice. It came with a little stand, and can't argue with it. It was a decent little thing. But again, I think there came a point where I thought I'm spending so much time doing vocals and harmonies and getting quite intricate with the vocals. I do need something that maybe a wee bit more sophisticated. So for the last few years, I have been working with the Aston Origin. Okay, so Aston is the company that makes Aston Martin cars. And somehow, for some reason, they decided that as well as making Aston Martin cars, they had the ability and the technology very easily to transfer over to making really good microphones. And the microphones, I've got to say, don't cost quite as much as the cars do, because the car's obviously very upper top end. The microphones, decent price. I think that the Aston Origin cost £220, so a bit more expensive than the other things I was buying. I reckon that was an important investment because, as I say, lots of time and energy spent singing and doing harmonies and all that kind of stuff. I really like it. So again, this is not really a recommendation about what brand you should get. It is a recommendation to say shop around and look at those lists carefully and think about what's right for you. I do like it because it's a little bit out of the ordinary. It looks quite beautiful. It's quite a heavy thing. It has a built-in kind of shield to stop all those plosives, and it's really very sensitive. I mean, so sensitive that when you're recording, you have got to stand very still and try not to breathe too much. Otherwise, But a really nice microphone. There's two I think they make, and the Origin is a slightly cheaper one, and it's a sturdy little beast, and I think it'll be lasting me quite a long time. I may want another microphone at some stage, but this is working perfectly well. So thank you, Aston. Where do we go next? Okay, at the beginning, I was reading my kind of magazines and looking at tutorials and thinking, right, there's something that everyone goes on about that I don't seem to have here. I need a thing called an audio interface. I didn't even know what the words meant, but I did need an audio interface. And when I went through the lists available, what do people get, what is there, and what prices, etc., there was one brand that basically stood out a mile. I mean, I think it is the most sold piece of studio equipment in the world, and it's the Focusrite. You won't be surprised. I'm sure a million of you have this. Focusrite Scarlett. Now look, they do different sizes of these things with different numbers of, inputs, etc. I got a fairly small one, but it does me fine. What is it for? It's for plugging in the microphone. It then plugs into my laptop. Anything that you've got as an external instrument will plug into it. So my electric guitar, which I bought a year ago, that also plugs into it. And they always say that the output of your sound is only going to be as good as the weakest link. Now, I don't think this is a weak link. This is so popular and so kind of ubiquitous that I felt fairly confident about that. And once I got it home, I began to work out why I needed it. I mean, it's one of those things going into the shop and trying to be confident about saying, right, I need to buy an audio interface, thinking I haven't the faintest idea what I'm talking about. That was it. Okay, next, headphones. Whatever happens, whether you're working in a fabulous recording studio where you can make all the noise in the world, or more likely, in your bedroom or in a room in your house, you've got to have headphones, because you want to be sitting down there testing and checking through the music at some volume at 2 o'clock in the morning, and obviously. Okay, so the headphones I've got, again, I went online, I did the same thing, checked through those lists, and I ended up with, again, absolutely kind of mainstream choice, Audio Technica. Very well-known brand, very reliable headphones, very comfortable, very good at blocking out other sound. They do a great job. Now, as it goes, I always prefer not to use them. Obviously, when I'm recording, I have to, but when I'm listening, I would always prefer to actually, be listening through my speakers, my monitors here. But there are times when you need to do a certain amount of mixing with your headphones. Again, I think these cost. Did I make a little note of this? Yeah, about £130. Studio monitors. I'm trying to remember when I bought these. So for a little while, I just had some crappy kind of laptop speakers. That's no good. Again, checked out what's the done thing in terms of studio monitors, and I got these really nice Rocket 5 is what I got. And again, I think they probably are sitting in hundreds of thousands of studios up and down the country, around the planet. So, I don't think it was a wild, left of centre choice at all. They're really good. They're really good. Again, they do the job. They're really nice. I think they cost about, for the two of them, obviously you need two, I think they cost £300. So a bit more expensive there. And I read something which told me very carefully that in my studio space, and by the way, this is a brand new space, didn't exist before, you have to try and create a triangle with your monitors of three equal-sided, one equal-sided triangle with three sides, so that your head is one of the points of the triangle, and and you have the two monitors here, and you sit really right in the middle, and you need to get that positioning right, and you need to not then have sound bouncing too much off the walls around you. So that takes me very neatly on to talking about all this stuff. So when I came into this room, newly renovated, what I realised I could do is if I clapped my hands, there was an echo, and that's really what you don't want. So so I followed the advice that that you can pick up, and I ordered this foam. I think you get about 24 squares packed down, because when you undo the package, it starts to grow rather alarmingly. Very easy to stick on the wall or the ceiling because they're light as feathers. I think I then got another pack, and what I found is it made a difference. It made a profound difference. Now, before this room existed, I would record vocals downstairs in a bigger room, and I had all kinds of problems with that. I didn't realise just how important, the room and the shape of the room and what's in the room and where you are in relation to the shape of the room all was. I would record, really noisy vocals where there was a hum, where if I just turned a little bit like this, I could avoid the hum. If I went 1 inch backwards, it got hummy again. All that stuff. Now, coming into here, all that's gone. I'm in a small space. The walls in this studio are irregular, and that's actually a very good thing, because you haven't got the sound just bouncing backwards and forwards. And obviously then I've got these at strategically placed parts of the wall to just to take in that sound, just to soften it and not have things bouncing off hard walls, and it makes a difference. And I've got a little rug on the floor as well, that helps. And when I got the speakers, I got little foam pads for them to sit on so they don't vibrate on the desk. All good. Okay, we're doing well. Okay, the desk. the desk. You'd be amazed at how difficult it was to find the right desk. I wanted a shelf that I could pull out and push back in that would save space, have the keyboard on it, so I could just push away. I thought, easy, that's what studio desks have. But actually that was quite a difficult thing to find, and I can't. The studio desk was quite expensive, and I can't actually remember, but it was probably £200 plus. It's a nice piece of equipment. But look, you need to get a studio desk or something that fits your room, that fits your requirements. There's no much point me showing you how wonderful my desk is, but you need one, okay? The chair. Now, listen carefully. If you don't have a chair that goes round and round, don't try and pretend you're a musician. You've got to have it. See? My chair is so comfortable. I had to put it all together myself because we were on lockdown. My chair is so comfortable. I come in here, I put music on. I put even my music. I'm supposed to be listening to see where I'm up to with something. I fall asleep immediately. So yes, maybe that's not such a good thing. But anyway, it's a really comfy chair. It swivels and it goes across the floor, and it's essential. So do make sure you've got a chair that goes round and round. That's almost it. Oh, microphone stand. Don't hold your mic. You need to have a microphone stand. You can't be holding your mic because you're just going to pick up loads and loads of noise doing that. You've got to have a microphone stand that you can stand back from and get that distance right between lips and microphone. What else can I tell you? I've got a candle that I light. That's quite nice. I've got an electric guitar, but that's not essential. You may not have an electric guitar. And that's about it. So that's quite a lot of stuff to get your head round, isn't it? From your door to your microphone to your interface to your monitors and your headphones. And bit by bit, I've put that together. I'm very happy with what I've got. There's no burning desire to change something, except I will be upgrading my laptop to the new M1 MacBook Air. I think I've ordered it. It should be coming sometime this century. So that will be very exciting, and I'm bound to wave it at you and show you. Okay, that's all good, isn't it? I'm going to leave it there. And next time, I'll probably be talking about my brand new single and how some of that's been put together with the mixing and production done by my nephew. My brand new single is going to be called I Think I Love You. It is going to be out on the 22nd of January, and you can't wait. Well, you probably can't wait. I can't wait. Listen, it's been marvellous. Take it easy, stay safe, and we'll do it all again soon. Bye-bye.